What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Have another quick YouTube exclusive for you guys today. But before we get too deep into this video, you already know what I'm going to say. Be sure to comment, be sure to like, be sure to subscribe. On the road to 3,000 subscribers, and I can't do it without your help. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, turn those notifications on so you're not missing any of this content. And without further ado, man, let's get into this video. So it's been a rather news-filled week for one Terry McLaurin. And we got another Terry McLaurin related video today. And while it's not as tumultuous as yesterday's video, if you haven't gotten a chance to check out our reaction to Terry McLaurin's press conference where he expressed his frustrations with how the contract negotiations have gone with the Washington Commanders himself and the front office, we reacted to it and kind of had to pull out the crystal ball once again because Terry McLaurin all but confirmed some of the things that we said were going to be difficult with his contract negotiations 6 weeks ago in a video that we had titled that the Commanders had a Terry McLaurin problem. So, you know, we had to pull out the crystal ball like That's So Raven. We're going to call this That's So Jalen. But go ahead and check out those two videos because it'll tell you everything that you need to know about the current status of Terry McLaurin and his contract extension negotiations. But this video isn't as tumultuous as that. But as I mentioned when I talked about my Jaden Daniels being rated in the top 5 list by NFL scouts, coaches, and GMs, Jeremy Fowler he has this thing where he goes around and sources quotes and interviews and answers from NFL GMs, coaches, and scouts. So it's more credible than all these other lists that you're going to see on list season. No shade to Bleacher Report, no shade to CBS Sports, but you're not hearing these from talking head pundits. You're not hearing this from podcasters like this or your favorite tweeter. You're not hearing this from these guys. These are guys that have the game plan for these guys, have looked at film against these guys, or either in preparation to draft these guys or sign these guys. So it's more. This is one of the more credible list series that comes out each and every year in preparation for the 2025 NFL season. So we talked about the quarterbacks a couple of days ago where Jaden Daniels ranked as the 5th best quarterback per NFL scouts, coaches, and GMs. And today was the wide receivers chance to get some spotlight and to get a shine on the top 10 wide receivers based off of NFL scouts, coaches, and GMs going into 2025. And I keep stressing this because this isn't my list. This isn't your favorite talking head or your favorite local media host list. These are guys that have no bias in any of these ratings at all. And if you listen to any Washington Commander, right? If you listen to any Washington Commander fan, they'll tell you how Terry McLaurin is as elite as an elite gets, right? And I know sometimes they have those burgundy and gold tinted lenses on, a phrase that I quoted 4 years ago when I started this channel. But after 2024's Terry McLaurin's performance, where he finished as the second-team All-Pro, finishing with a career-high 13 touchdowns and things of that nature. And if you listen to any other Washington Commander fan, they'll be the first to tell you he's top 5 in the entire NFL, right? So he's sure to be on this list, right? He's sure to be on this list. I haven't checked out this list, so I'm going to give you the live, raw reaction, no diddy, as we go through the top 10 wide receivers of 2025 per NFL's coaches, execs, and scouts. So the briefing that Jeremy Fowler gives us is that with the 2000 as a reminder. So just to give you a reminder of how the ranking process goes, he says voters gave us their best 10 players at a position. We then compiled the results and ranked candidates based on the number of top 10 votes they received. Composite average and dozen of interviews with research and film study help from NFL analyst Matt Bowen. In total, more than 70 voters submitted a ballot on at least one position, in many cases all position. Additional voting and follow-up calls with those surveys helped us break any ties. So that's how the voting process went into this list. And as I said, he goes around and ask somebody within the organization for all 32 organizations about their opinions on these guys. And this is the result that he came up with for the wide receivers. He said, justifying the top 10 wide receiver list comes as a with a good luck qualifier. The depth at this position makes any attempt all but futile. Way more than 10 are deserving each season. At least 24 receivers are producing at a high level each year. Last season, 21 receivers surpassed 1,000 yards, down from 27 the year before, but still impressive. Last year's rookie class features several budding stars, one of whom debuted in the top 7 and another who pushed for the top 10. Ooh. Well, I feel like I know who's in the top 7. Who's the one that pushed for the top 10? Can't be Marvin Harrison Jr., who was the highest drafted rookie receiver last year, because he struggled, not mightily, but he had some struggles in his rookie season. And what's great about this year's group, the two clear main race features, 2 stars who grew up about 10 miles apart, played at LSU all together, and traded votes for the number 1 ranking each year. We already know that's Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. And I'm curious to see who they talking about with these rookies, man. One of these rookies better not have overtaken my beloved Terrence McLaurin. I know that. Number 1, Jamar Chase. He would be my number 1 as well. I think the only person that you could argue is Justin Jefferson, and I'll admit that there's an argument there. But I've said for years now, even when Justin Jefferson was outproducing Jamar Chase, when Kirk Cousins was spamming him every play, I've always thought that Jamar Chase was a better wide receiver than Justin Jefferson. He's just more explosive. There was a reason why he was the wide receiver number 1 going into at LSU, going into the 2019 season where LSU ultimately won the NCAA championship and things of that nature. He was the 1A dog. So I've always thought that he was better than Justin Jefferson. But it seems like NFL execs have agreed with me as well, even though Justin Jefferson is at a historic mark. I think Justin Jefferson is going to be the quickest to 10,000 yards in the history of the NFL. He might even outpace Jamar in that statistic. More explosion, better at the catch, more powerful. That's where he gets his edge. That's one NFL personality says. I'll admit, I agree. I said like Jamar Chase is like a running back when he gets the ball in his hands, but he runs receiver type routes and he has receiver type nuance. Number 2, Justin Jefferson. As he said, they duke it out for the number 1 position year for year. He said Chase got him this year, but Jefferson, a 2-time champion in our ranking, should vie for the crown perennially. His early career brilliance stands alone with an NFL record 74-32 receiving yards through his first 5 seasons. Justin Jefferson to be at 10,000 yards in 7 seasons. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Tyreek Hill coming in at number 3. So this is where my eyebrow starts to rise, because while I think that Tyreek Hill might be the 3rd most dynamic wide receiver in the entire NFL, from my understanding of this list is that it's really not a lifetime achievement award list or not a legacy award list, and it's a what did you do on the 2024 season list, right? And Tyreek Hill didn't even crack 900 or 1,000 yards. I think he had like 960 or something like that, falling just short of the 1,000 yard mark. And I've also mentioned, even in the videos where I talked about Terry's frustration with the contract negotiations, is that Tyreek Hill is the only guy that you would consider top 10 or top 15 that's older than Terry McLaurin. So if that's the case, are we still looking at this for what he's going to be doing in the 2025 season? Are they just thinking that his 2024 just went to pit so bad that that was an anomaly or an outlier of a year? I'm curious to see, because he failed just 1 spot from the 2024 rankings. He said the reason is simple: he gets attention, he commands it from defenses, his mere presence changes the math on the field. Since joining Miami in 2022, Hill's receiving touchdowns of throws of 20 plus yards downfield is tied for the most in the league with Philadelphia's AJ Brown. So there you get your answer. Remember, this is a list composited of NFL coaches, scouts, and GMs answer, and this is a guy they have the game plan against week in and week out. And Tyreek Hill still strikes fear in their house, strikes more fear in their heart than most. CeeDee Lamb coming in at number 4. All right, this is where I got a little bit of beef. Slot boy coming in at number 4. So we giving guys that run to the slot the benefit of the doubt, and we giving them top 5 rankings. I love CeeDee Lamb, and I'm not even saying that I wouldn't have him rated higher than Terry McLaurin. But I don't think CeeDee Lamb is better than AJ Brown at this point in their careers. I don't. I'm sorry. Let's see what they got to say about CeeDee Lamb. Lamb has checked many boxes required by an elite receiver. He had a banner season in 2023 with 135 receptions, 1749 yards, and 12 touchdowns. He has no true down years. That's true because he goes against a lot of third-team corners when he's running into that slot. But it is what it is. CeeDee is a dog. Top 4 in the NFL. Top 4 in the NFL. To be quite honest, I might put Malik Neighbors above CeeDee Lamb, to be 100% honest with you. If we talking about ceilings, if we talking about, game planning and scheming against a wide receiver, as what they said the case was for Tyreek Hill's ranking for number 3 on this list, and they used that to justify it. I'm more scared of a Malik Neighbors than a CeeDee Lamb, 1 year in the league or not. And I'm saying Malik Neighbors because I know that's the rookie that they talked about being in the top 7, but I don't know how I feel about Slot Boy. I don't know. AJ Brown coming in at number 5. I argue that AJ Brown should have arguably been ahead of CeeDee Lamb, so I have no qualms and no argument with him at number 5. When AJ Brown is on the field, man, he produces. The last couple of years, his issue has been availability. But when he's on the field, he produces. Last year, he was rated number 6. This is a guy that came out in the 2019 draft class with Terry McLaurin. So out of all the guys that have been rated in the top 5, all the guys that we talked about on the list thus far, he's had the most years in the league. He's still about a year and a half younger than Terry McLaurin. So far, we got 2 NFC East wide receivers on the list, and our beloved Terry McLaurin hasn't scratched the surface. And I didn't expect him to be in the top 5. That's just a statement. That's just something that I noticed. Number 6 on the list, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And this is where I start the beef. And this is where I get ready to throw some hands, bro. At number 6, Amon-Ra. I know I call CeeDee Lamb slot boy. This is slot god. This is slot god. I think Amon-Ra stands for sun god. It should stand for slot god because that's where Amon-Ra makes his living because he would get his ass ate up on the boundaries. I think we got to take these things into consideration when we're talking about wide receiver rankings. I think these are all the things that we got to talk about when we're talking about game planning for a player. Amon-Ra St. Brown goes against a lot of nickel corners a lot of the time. A lot of the time. And let's see what they got to say about Amon-Ra St. Brown. It says that some reported moments stick with you. When I visited Lions training camp 3 years ago, Jared Goff told me that whenever he's in the pocket, he thinks to look for only one receiver, St. Brown. That's the same thing for Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin, or Terry McLaurin and any other 20 other quarterbacks that he's played with in his 6-year career. That's the same thing. So if that's sticking out with Amon-Ra St. Brown, it's got to stick out with Terry McLaurin as well. It has to. It has to. We saw what they did in the head-to-head matchup in the playoffs. Need I remind Detroit Lions fans? This is where I start to be. I know he's a PPR guy, and I think a lot of I don't want to discredit NFL coaches, scouts, and GMs. I don't, but I think a lot of this list has fantasy football influence. Like, yeah, he gets a lot of catches. Yeah, he's reliable. So was Hines Ward. Was we ever putting Hines Ward at the 6th best top 5 wide receiver in the NFL? I don't remember. I don't think so. And I've been watching football for a long time. I don't ever remember anybody putting Hines Ward ahead of Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, Chad Johnson, Steve Smith. Shit. Santana Moss, we got to do it with our burgundy and gold tinted lenses. Hines Ward was not better than Santana Moss. And the list goes on and on. Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison, the list goes on and on. Amon-Ra St. Brown is 2025 twitched up Hines Ward. And when you getting him the top 6 wide receiver ranking, there he is. Number 7, Malik Neighbors. All right, I feel a little better. Malik Neighbors better than Amon-Ra St. Brown. Wow. And this is our 3rd NFC East wide receiver off the list. Guys, is Terry McLaurin not going to make this list? Is Terry McLaurin not going to make this list? Because even if Terry McLaurin does make this list, that means he will be rated the 4th best wide receiver in the NFC East. So that means that NFL scouts, coaches, and GMs think that we have the worst wide receiver 1 in the division. Now, when we're only compiling a top 10 list, that's not That's not a horrible feat, but for a guy that's negotiating a contract right now, I could have waited for this article to come out about 2 weeks later. I know Terry spazzing at the ESPN editors right now, like, bro, I'm trying to justify my case here. Let's see what they got to say about Malik Neighbors. And like I said, I don't know if Terry McLaurin's in the top 10 yet. I haven't seen this list. Neighbors has the NFL's full attention, surpassing 100 catches and 12 yards as a rookie in one of the league's worst offenses. With 4 different quarterbacks, his rock climbing on still difficult. The receptions total is second most by a rookie in NFL history behind tight end Bach Bowers. Yeah. I'll be the first to admit it. I think Malik Neighbors, by this time next year, might be the highest rated wide receiver coming out of the NFC East. To be 100% honest with you, I think his ceiling is that high. And I even went out on the limb last year at week 2 because we like to be early. And was I throwing a little hissy fit? Maybe. I'm not even gonna lie, because we got to remember at week 2 of that season, Terry McLaurin had went about 6 quarters with only having about 2 or 3 catches, and I was seeing Malik Neighbors damn near have about 3 catches a drive, right? And I went out and said that, like, that's a real wide receiver 1, right? And Terry made me eat crow for the rest of that season. But as somebody that loves having a lot of foresight, I'm here to say, like, I told y'all. Because, like, there's a certain level of pedigree you get as a first rounder. And Malik Neighbors did something in his rookie year that Terry McLaurin has yet to do in his NFL career. And that's a clip 1,200 yards. I fell in love with Malik watching Jalen Daniels tape at LSU. Because they made each other look good. I know Jalen Daniels is coming off a historic NFL rookie year. He wouldn't have been the Heisman winner in 2023 without Malik Neighbors. And I say all this to say that I can't wait for Malik Neighbors' rookie contract to end, so that he can don that burgundy and gold and rock number 1, whatever, because Debo be gone by then. Rock whatever number he wants to wear. And we can reclaim them LSU vibes with the burgundy and gold instead of the purple and gold. You feel me? Malik Neighbors at number 7. 3 wide receivers off the list. How y'all feeling? Does Terry make this list, y'all? Well, we know he ain't number 8. We know he ain't number 8. Number 8 is Nico Collins. Nico Collins is better than Terry McLaurin. Same thing with AJ Brown. A lot of his is availability. Now, if you want to put a feather in Terry McLaurin's cap for him being available almost 100% of the time, that's cool. But they told you at the beginning of this list that a lot of this list is compiled off of how we got a game plan and scheme for these guys. And I think Nico Collins puts more stresses on NFL defense than Terry McLaurin. I'm not mad at this at all. I think Nico Collins better than Amon St. Brown, though. Support, if we can remember, Nico Collins, after 3 or 4 weeks of the season last year, was on pace for 2,000 yards. Height, weight, speed, demon. Support for Nico Collins has slowly built over the years, and he's proved undeniable after his first Pro Bowl campaign in 2024. Though he appeared slightly below 50% on the ballots, half of his votes were in the top 5. Half of his votes were in the top 5. Damn. That means that over half of the people didn't have him on the ballot at all, though. That's different. That's interesting. The rare ability to be a legitimate number 1 wide receiver, an NFL personnel director said, good balance, skill set, speed, size, agility, foresight, very good hands. He competes. I agree. Mike Evans at number 9. Terry McLaurin should have been on this list by now. And at this point, this is where you can't really convince me that this isn't a lifetime achievement legacy award. Like, I know I talked about how Terry McLaurin hasn't had a 1,200-yard season, right? But there's been a couple of seasons where Tampa Bay's quarterback has to force feed Mike Evans in the 4th quarter of week 17 or week 18 to get him over the 1,000-yard mark. And all you hear about how he's played an NFL season, how he's played 10 NFL seasons and doesn't have a season where he hasn't eclipsed the 1,000-yard mark. But they don't mention how some of them years was 1,003 yards, 1,002. Like, he got a couple of years like that. 2024 included. 2024 included. And he was not better than Terry McLaurin in the 2024 season. Now, this is where I might have to go up to the league offices in New York and start throwing hands for my guy. Let's see what they say. This is where things get interesting. Evans was one of 5 receivers in a voting cluster for the 9th and 10th spots. Garrett Wilson, Terry McLaurin, Puka Nacua, and Brian Thomas were the others. Terry McLaurin not going to make this list, y'all. Terry McLaurin is not going to make this list. Wow. Second team All-Pro receivers, not going to make the top 10 receivers going into the 2025 list. We put that group into a tiebreaker for several high-ranking evaluators, and Evans was deemed the clear number 1. So that means that NFL execs, coaches, and GMs think that Mike Evans is clearly better than Garrett Wilson, Terry McLaurin, Puka Nacua, and Brian Thomas Jr. Shitting me. Is Mike Evans a Hall of Famer? Maybe. I'm leaning more yes than no. Before 2025 ranking, give me Terry McLaurin, give me Puka Nacua, give me Brian, give me all of those guys over Mike Evans. This is where the legacy lifetime achievement. Oh! Terry McLaurin did not make the list. Terry McLaurin did not make the list. And I know this name is going to make some of y'all crash out. Because this was the latest wide receiver to sign a big contract extension. And a lot of Washington fans over the social medias, over the Reddits, over the Twitter, I sourced everywhere. Because I wanted to see if I was crazy. They said that Garrett Wilson can't hold Terry McLaurin's jockstrap. And I thought I was missing something. Well, it seems like the NFL's coaches, execs, and GMs are more in line with my line of thinking. Not saying that Terry McLaurin shouldn't be on this top 10 list, because he should be on this list over Mike Evans. If this is a list for 2025, Terry McLaurin should be over Mike Evans. But I don't mind having Garrett Wilson on that top 10 list. I do not. Because a lot of the things that you can say about Terry McLaurin, you can say about Garrett Wilson. He's played with shitty quarterbacks. I don't care about the name value. I don't care about the name value. Zach Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, at the point in their careers where they were Garrett Wilson's quarterback, was along the lines of like a Josh Johnson and a Garrett Gilbert and a Sam Howell. They still produce Garrett Wilson and Terry McLaurin alike, but Garrett Wilson is doing it and he's almost 6 years younger. So yeah, there are some inconsistencies in this list. Some guys got the lifetime achievement nod, like a Mike Evans and Tyreek Hill. But you even seen when they talked about a guy like Malik Neighbors, they took some guys' ceilings into play as well. And ultimately, they took how much stress all of these guys put on a defense into consideration when making these lists. And I won't deny it. Even with a guy like Mike Evans, who I think that Terry McLaurin should be higher on the list because of simply like production, I wouldn't argue that Mike Evans, even at the ripe old age of 31, doesn't, produce or induce more fear for opposing defenses than Terry McLaurin. I wouldn't argue that. I wouldn't. Let's see what they say about Garrett Wilson, number 10 wide receiver on this list. Wilson makes the top 10 debut after 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, beating McLaurin, Nacua, and Brian Thomas Jr. for the final spot in this ranking. On talent, he's unquestionably a top 10 player. The way he slithers in his routes with elite flexibility is Justin Jefferson light. He's one of the best separators in the league. I agree. And while I'm a little shocked to not see Terry McLaurin on the top 10 list, so he's the first on the honorable mentions. Terry McLaurin is the first on the honorable mentions, so we're going to call that 11th. They didn't say that it was an 11th. They didn't say that he was 11th, but we're going to take any win that we can. In the words of Denzel, I'm leaving here with something. I'm leaving out of here with something. And to be quite honest, while I'm shocked to see Terry McLaurin not on that top 10 list, if you asked me prior to the 2024 season, which Terry McLaurin had a career best in terms of touchdowns, I would have had him outside the top 10 as well. I would have had him somewhere in the top 12 to 13. Just because, as I mentioned, we can clearly see that this list was heavily influenced with how these NFL execs, scouts, and GMs focus on how much stress a wide receiver puts on a defense, right? And all of these guys on the list prior to the 2024 season, I would have argued provide more stress or induce more fear in the defense than Terry McLaurin. Now, the 2024 season came and Terry McLaurin became an elite deep ball specialist, and he got it done in the red zone. And that's all the reasons why I think he should have been in the top 10. But there are some holes in his game that I know Adam Peters are talking about at the negotiation table. We saw Terry McLaurin about to cry in his presser yesterday talking about how the negotiation deals are going right now. I've always said, like, Terry McLaurin's a very dynamic athlete, but to me, he's more of a linear athlete than somebody that has like elite lateral quickness. And I think a lot of that has to do with his hip tightness. Terry just learned how to run a double move last year, excuse me. And also, and I don't want to be harsh when I say this, because Terry McLaurin is my GOAT. He's my guy. I got an autographed Terry McLaurin jersey that I haven't watched since he signed it. But with that hip tightness comes a lack of improv in the route running, in the freelance game, in the off-schedule game that some of the elite wide receivers have. I've said since 2019, while Terry McLaurin is a good route runner, he's a good route runner because he runs those routes very precise. But he runs a lot of those routes like you draw them up on a paper. And a lot of cornerbacks with good techniques who sit on those routes, he has trouble with. That's why he had a trouble with a guy like Quinyon Mitchell last year. That's why he had trouble with a guy like AJ Terrell last year. So I'm not necessarily shocked to not see Terry McLaurin on this top 10 list. Do I think he should have been there? Absolutely. But hey, man, it is what it is. He got to fight for it any way he can. And as of right now, he ain't worried a damn about this list. He trying to get them 30 mil. He trying to get that 30 mil a year. So let me know what you feel about this list. Is Terry McLaurin not elite? Is Terry McLaurin not a top 10 wide receiver? How you guys feel about this list? How you guys feel about the rest of the list? Where should Terry McLaurin have been placed on this list if you think he should have been on it? Chop it up with me. Leave it in the comment sections. You know I'm going to reply back. And I'll check in on y'all on the flip side.